My name is Aldo Añueros, and I lead global marketing for Bring IT. But I'd like to also let our audience introduce themselves.
I can go next, Aldo, and then David, I'll pass it over to you. Hi, team. My name's Haley Knoll. I run partner marketing at NetSuite and work really closely with our alliance partners like Bring IT, as well as our customers that work jointly with our partners. Really excited for this webinar today. I will be kind of co-moderating with Aldo, and then I will pass it over to David, who is also from NetSuite.
Thanks, Haley. I'm David Kern. I was formerly the Senior Vice President of Sales for Next Technic, and I've been with them since 2020. Last year, we were acquired by Oracle, and now we're fully embedded and ingrained in the Oracle NetSuite ecosystem. Very excited, lots of activity here, and very happy to be here today to talk about this. So, Ray, do you want to go next?
Certainly. My name's Ray Jones. I'm with a company called Midway Mechanical. We do mechanical services across the Western United States. We have about 500 employees, with 400 of those being technicians in the field. We do mostly HVAC, plumbing, and refrigeration work. I'm the Vice President of Information Technology for the parent company, Midway Mechanical, and very excited to be on the call, and thanks for asking me.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Juan Manuel Cruz. I'm the head of IT and Cybersecurity for EnfraGen. We are a bigger group. We're part of EnfraGen Energy Transition. Our mission right now is just to have the potential to power the world through energy transition. So basically, we have renewables, and we also have grid stability assets. We have a 2.2 gigawatt portfolio across 6 countries, mainly in Latin America. We have more than 800 employees. And we also are in the gas business. We have 12.8 MTPA FERC approved LNG export capacity. That's mainly in Texas. So thank you for the invitation, and looking forward today to talk about field asset management.
Thank you, Juan. Thank you, Ray. And thank you, David. And of course, thank you, Haley. Always a pleasure working with you. So we'd just like to take a minute to introduce Bring IT for those of you who are joining us in the first time. And then, of course, NetSuite. So as far as Bring IT, we are a global Oracle NetSuite Alliance partner with more than 300 experts across the world. We have worked with over 400 customers across the world in 9 locations, and our team is able to work with you and partner with your business in over 5 languages. We've been honored by Oracle NetSuite to receive awards for 3 consecutive years on the different industries, as you can see here, for healthcare, retail, associations, energy, agriculture, real estate, and restaurants and hospitality. So we're dedicated to make you successful on your NetSuite implementation and beyond. And with that, I'll leave it to Haley.
Thank you, Aldo. Most of you on the call are probably familiar with NetSuite, but if not, I'll just give a quick background on who we are in general. So we are the first cloud company that was ever founded about 25 years ago, a little bit more than that. We are a global business unit of Oracle, so we do operate independently. We have our own technology, but we do get to take advantage of Oracle resources, research and development, etc. We have customers in 219 countries, and right now we have more than 37,000 customers worldwide. And we're excited that Ray and Juan are able to join us as 2 of those customers out of that 37,000. As David mentioned, we did acquire Next Technic last year, so we now also offer NetSuite Field Service Management, one platform for our customers to be able to purchase, which is obviously what today's conversation is about.
Thank you, Haley. And with that, what everybody's waiting for, to hear from our guests and to talk about their experience, how their implementation is going, and also how are they doing. So Haley, you're gonna go with the first questions to our panelists here.
Perfect. Thanks, Aldo. So the first thing we want to chat about, Juan, Ray, and David, is around pain points related to field service. So can you talk a little bit about the biggest pain points that you're currently facing managing your field service operations? How are you managing those pain points today? And ultimately, how do you envision that a field service solution within your ERP, NetSuite Field Service Management, can help address these challenges or pain points that you're experiencing or have experienced?
We started looking for, so Midway Mechanical is a holding company, if you will, that acquires smaller companies that do all of the work. And these smaller companies have many pain points, from using paper tickets in the field for their technicians. They bring those back and key them into the system. Some of the other points are tracking and scheduling of these technicians. A lot of them are still using text messages and email to schedule people. The ones that do have some sort of field system, they still have a hard time taking money in the field. We do a lot of what we call flat rate pricing. If everybody's had a HVAC person come to their house, right, and give them a quick bid on replacing a blower motor or a furnace or whatever it is in their house, and they do all that with a quote based on what the time and materials and everything else that it takes, and putting those together are rough for each of our companies. Most of them just have a book that they have to flip through. So that's another one of their big pain points. The other one, we actually have a company that's on one of the top field service solutions in America right now. And their pain point is the connection to their ERP system. It's a smaller accounting system, but it's an accounting system that's used widely by just about every service company on the planet. And so the connection between their field service system and their accounting system, they have to deal with every day problems with syncing the data between the two systems. So that was one of the huge decisions for us about moving to an integrated platform. We really felt that with the positioning of NextTechnik and the field service software with NetSuite, I dug deep into and validated the connection between the systems and how they work together, and found them to be the tightest integration that we looked at. We looked at over 30 different field service platforms. It took us a year and a half. It was hell. And so, can't say hell on TV. Anyway, we had a lot of fatigue, and then finally, and we looked at Next Service. We looked at Next Service early because I've been using NetSuite for 25 years, just about as long as they've been around. So, I wanted to use Next Service, but they couldn't do a purchase order in the field. That was another one of the pain points that we had. The technicians have got to go to a parts house. Every technician does. And we need to be able to track that seamlessly and easily and let the technicians buy what they need to buy and know that they bought something. So that was huge for us. And Next Service didn't have it when we talked to them last January. So they added it. I came back to them, and then Oracle announced that they were going to partner with them or purchase them. And man, that sold it for me. I tell you, I've been on NetSuite for 25 years. It's such a solid platform, and just never had a problem moving between versions and upgrades and things. And it's just been super for the companies that I've worked with. And so that was really kind of the cement for the deal. And then as far as the ERP and the field service addressing our problems, we still have a couple that are on our roadmap that we've submitted to NetSuite to enhance the field service. But frankly, I think that now that they've got some strong resources behind the product, I'm excited. So, Juan, you're up, buddy.
Thank you, Ray. I think the biggest challenge that we encountered initially was that we didn't have a single system and a standard process for asset management. And also talking about asset management, because what we had in the past was in each of the countries, we had a different system or even no system for maintenance. So One system was what's called the CMMS, so a computerized maintenance system. And in another of our operations, we had what's called AAM, an enterprise asset management system, right? So our strategy that aligned with the operational excellence that was led by my boss, the CEO in the company, we defined to have a single ERP system that had all the core processes within. And we already had NetSuite as an ERP system. But even with NetSuite, we also struggle to have a standard implementation within the same system, like AP, AR, fixed assets, inventory. Specifically inventory, we had operations where we didn't have inventory. So a lot of manual inputting within the system, in this case, NetSuite. So to be able to tackle these challenges, the first thing that we decided was to have a system that was aligned with a vision. And that vision translating into an RFP process with basically the following premises: a single system that had to map to an asset management framework, such as ISO 55001, and also have a cost management fully integrated within a single system, in this case, NetSuite. And once we selected a new system that ran on top of NetSuite, which in this case, let's say Next Techniques, we defined as, let's say, a next phase where we can be able to implement this strategy and implement, let's say, a single system within a whole fleet. But I think aligning to what Ray said, that it was a surprise for us last year, because we also were looking for a system, right, that, let's say, run on top of NetSuite. We were not able to find that. Let's say it was a really, really short list. We were able to find 3 systems in reality that aligned with our vision. And even the vision was, we don't want a legacy or a satellite system. We want only one system. And it took us 6 months, not that much as Ray, 6 months, and sitting all the maintenance champions. I think they hated me for a while because I put them to define all the requirements. And at the end, we came up with a short list. And while we were closing the RFP process, we came out to know that Oracle acquired Next Techniques. So for us internally was a really big push, because it was like NetSuite saying, guys, don't look other solutions. We already have it. And we actually were going to buy these guys because we think this is the right solution. So that really helped us to make the final decision, because like NetSuite selected these guys. That means that they're on the right track. And also something that's really important for us is that Next Technique had the EAM piece within. If we looked at other solutions where we're more focused on CMMS based function, we were not looking for that. We're looking for an EAM. So that also aligned with our vision.
If I could just comment on that, guys, thank you very much. That's great information. And everything that you guys are talking about are the issues we strive to address. You know, we bring it up a level, but like Ray, you referred to paper tickets. I mean, when we hear paper tickets, it makes us cringe, you know. We understand it has to be done, but it really leads to, you know, it prevents organizations from growing as fast as they want to. Cash flow issues, rekeying issues, billing issues, even utilization issues around that time. Things around the inventory for low first-time fixed rates. We had a lot of companies who need compliance and safety regulations, and if they violate those, it's a big problem. All the way down to, you know, just being able to see if you made or lost money on a job, you know, job by job. And so those are the kind of things we strive to solve. And I'm glad you guys brought all those up, because it sounds like we're working together well then.
Great. Thanks, team. Appreciate you talking more about that. And 6 months to a year and a half is definitely a long time to look at systems. So we're glad you ended up choosing NetSuite Field Service.
That's a tough job, right?
Yes. And luckily for both of you, NetSuite acquired Next Service around the time that you were looking to make the decision. So that's great. Aldo, over to you for the next question for our panelists.
Thank you, Haley. Also, great to hear from Ray, right? 25 years is, you know, it's quite time, but also, you know, it can tell us, right, that you've been seeing a lot of solutions coming in and out of the market, and then just understanding and seeing that you've been working with NetSuite for such a long time is just great to hear. So That's great. The next question that we have is mainly addressed to you, Juan, and to Ray, because also that's what we created this forum for, to hear really your thoughts for you. Maybe also you will have a question for David. But in this time that you are evaluating a solution, what were you specifically looking for? When we go shopping, we really want that model, it's like very emotional, right? So what specifically were you looking for in a field service solution, and then how you felt when you saw it, that it can really contribute to what you're looking for to solve and your business objectives at that specific moment in time?
We also created a requirements list, just like Juan and his company did, and we broke them down into two sections, really. And that's must have and like to have, right? So we had 50 items on our must have. And then we had another, 100. 100 items on our like to have. So, but the top of the list was really the technician experience. From our view, if any mobile app that a tech is required to use isn't friendly enough and fast enough for them, they're just not going to use it. And we can whine and complain all day long that they're not using the app. They need to use the app. You need to use the app, or we're not going to pay you, or whatever. You can use all the sticks you want, but we were looking for more of a carrot. We want something that was really intuitive, that was flowed well, that we could really use. We call them gates, where we could walk the technician through the gates they needed to walk through when they needed to walk through them, and then collect the information as part of their normal process so that it would fit within what they normally do. And that was number one for us. And it really, with the way that the field service mobile app is configurable, and actually even configured by job type or by function that they're performing, is huge for us, because with refrigeration, just like Juan mentioned, we have, and David mentioned, we have governmental requirements around tracking refrigerant use and collection, and being able to report that easily, both to our customer and to whatever agency wants to look at our books. It makes it just easy to pull it from the database and have it, immediately available. We also take it and publish it into the customer specific forms that we have to provide to the customer based on the visit. And so the tech no longer has to fill out some kind of PDF online, and fill in all these little boxes and do the pinch and zoom on their mobile. They hate that, and I don't blame them. I hated it. They showed it to me. I was like, "You're doing what?" So, being able to have customized forms and being able to build those on the fly and push them to the mobile app with ease, and change the whole look of the mobile app to function the way we want it to function, that's huge. You just don't get that from a normal app store app. So that was our main focus. And then the other focus was, we don't ever want to deal with a sync issue between our field service and our accounting system, ever. It's just such a waste of time, waste of resources, and elimination of that was huge. So those are our really two biggest pain points, and Next Service and being so tightly integrated with NetSuite just solves both those problems in spades for us.
Thank you, Ray. Glad to hear those are very specific requirements. So just to hear that you were able to look for those and solve this is great. So thanks for sharing. Juan, what about you?
Very interesting points from Ray. I think we shared most of them. I think mobile is really a key important piece, mainly because of the opportunity of getting information, let's say digitalized, and being able to bring operators to actually use it It's actually not that easy, of course. There's always a change. Change is always something hard for people to start using the applications, but it's, I wouldn't say straightforward, but let's say it's better when they see that information is centralized and the maintenance leaders start being able to make decisions and keep track of the works and all that. That's where you feel that you're actually changing the process, right? And as I mentioned in the previous question, I think when we defined that clear vision and we got that short list that aligned 100% with our functional requirements and the process framework that I mentioned, I think it was very clear that we already had a definition of having a single system for both finance and maintenance. And I think Ray mentioned a really important piece. We had that disconnection in our operations, in that thing of having, for example, a system that was not integrated at all with our accounting system. That has been a really, really big pain point for the company, because getting the numbers, the cycle to get monthly reports is hard because there's a lot of manual inputting. There's no integration, online integration. And even in another operation, we had, let's say, a world-class solution, an EAM system that was fully integrated. And even with that system, we also had issues because they didn't know if the numbers that they were pushing in one system were the same in the accounting system. And I led that project, right? And I let's say try to follow the recipe, quality of data and all that, so that we had the consistency in the information. But that synchronization, for example, with exchange rates has been a pain since we started. So that piece is super important, and that was one of the main objectives, that we had to have a single system to take out that uncertainty and, let's say, quality of data of having different systems that are not fully integrated or that are not integrated at all.
Guys, if I could ask a quick question. You both mentioned field user adaptation as something that was important. How has the field been reacting to the next service, the NetSuite Field Service, system? And has the field been happy with it? Has it been an issue to get them to adapt it?
So I think part of this answer has to deal with implementation. So I have really two groups, right? I have the main construction guys that do installs and retrofits and rip things out and are on a project for weeks. And then I've got the field service guy that does, short projects,
Right.
1-2 days, right?
Yeah.
And so knowing this, I brought all of the construction guys in, and we did a training with everybody on their own phones and
Okay.
walking through using that phone and tracking time. And those guys, we still have our ABC guys, right? Our ABC levels of techs. But the A guys, once we had that meeting, they were solid. Their time collection is great. The B guys, they're getting better. And then there's some guys that just don't get it at all. So, I think that the number one issue that I'm getting from the field is that telling the dispatch that you're on site using a start button and is separate from tracking your time.
Right.
And that's the biggest challenge they're having with it. But other than that, we've customized some of the menu names. Like I changed, time entry to say, this is how you get paid. And man, the change in time collection went through the roof.
Yeah.
So it's nice to have an app like that where I can go in and say, okay, they're just not getting this term,
Right.
and we can change it the same day. Huge, right? And so their initial adoption, because of the menu structure and the amount of space that each of the tasks takes on their phone, is a little bit out of sorts. So they had a little bit of a challenge rolling into it, I think a little bit more than they would just a time clock app like they're used to. So, and it's, it's so much more than a time clock, right?
Right.
So, and so I had to explain that to them. The field service, the service guys, I couldn't get them in the office. They're still struggling with it.
Yeah.
So I need to fly back down to Texas and have a solid meeting with them. But, I think as long as you have as part of the implementation process, you're bringing the guys in. It can't be a webinar. It can't be, hey, watch this video. It's got to be, hey, you guys come in, we'll walk through it together. And, during that walkthrough, the guys were solid, it was nice. So they got to ask questions and everything else. But so it's been a little bit rough of an adoption for them because of the disconnect in the buttons. But, you guys know that already.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
and
change management is hard. Change management is hard.
It really is.
And I think you hit it on the head when you said it has to be planned into the implementation. You just have to plan to bring everybody in. You have to plan to make sure that they're getting it. Juan, anything to add to that?
No, I think let's say, biggest challenge was during the implementation phase, specifically because we were, let's say, with a dilemma of customization versus standardization. When we open the door, let's say, how many fields do you need for this purpose? And for example, cleaning a solar panel. We have solar in two of our operations in Panama and in Chile. They did it differently. So they say, no, we do it this way. And then they said, no, we do it this way. And then getting to a standard, it was hard. And the system, and let's say the mobile, the forms allow it. But sometimes you have to do the good cop, bad cop routine where you say, guys, we cannot open the door to have so many fields, because in the end, that's going to be super hard to manage. Right. So we were in that predicament, and we had to find a solution. And I think in this case, NetSuite, let's say the combination of both NetSuite and Next Techniques, I think it's a really good combination, because we were able to find a solution where we narrow and have, let's say, a standard maintenance plan with the fields that we need, but not open the door to have. I remember that discussion where it's like, we have more than 7,000 maintenance plans across all the operations, and we need to push that in the system no matter what, as is. And I challenged the team, like, no guys, like, we're standardized, we cannot do, how many fields do you need for that? No, I don't know, maybe 50,000. It's like, let's try to standardize solar panel washing so that we have, let's say, a same standard, maybe 1 or 2 fields, but let's talk about that. So it's important during implementation to have that discussion. And also, I agree with Ray, having the people within a single place. We had to bring the people, and we had to test with them. And even we did test and BOAT plus let's say the training at the same time. And everyone need focus so that they could make the questions to the people that know. So I think that's also a really important point there.
Thank you, Juan and Ray. Great insights. And I think that makes the perfect segue to our next question regarding implementation. Haley, you want to take it on?
Yes, I was going to say, you guys stole my thunder a little bit, but perfect transition into the next question. If you both can talk a little bit about the key steps that were most important in your implementation process, the initial expectations you had regarding timeline, budget, and potential challenges with the implementation. I know we already talked about adoption and training for your field technicians a little bit, but if we can kind of take a step back and talk about key steps holistically for implementation, as well as timeline, budget, and challenges. Juan, I'm actually going to mix it up a little bit, and maybe you can go first and Ray can go second.
Yay.
Okay, great. I think first and most important point for my side was to have a strong sponsorship within the company, right? In this case, our COO helped us to have that role and have full engagement of the O&M team. For me, it was really important to have the right people seated in the project so that we can make the proper decisions around maintenance, which is not core from my side. I'm from IT and cyber, right? I don't know the process, but I needed a team to be there, the people that really know, the SMEs, right? The subject matter experts that know about the subject, right? Also, another important stakeholder was let's say, the finance team, because as I said, we wanted a single system, but the system was mainly for finance, and we had to change it, let's say, for both maintenance and finance. So I think that was also important. And then when you're thinking about those three things, timeline, budget, scoping, I think I mentioned in the previous questions that it was really important to have clear requirements and aligned with a standard and a process framework, right? So as I said, we already defined a vision where we say, okay, we want an EAM, we don't want a CMMS, and we also want to align to a standard framework such as ISO 55001, right? So when we did that and we say that's our vision, then we said, okay, we need to have functional requirements, and we also had to conduct a gap analysis to narrow to the specific requirements for our business needs, which is important because you cannot take the standard as is. You need to understand what is really core for the company. And with that baseline, we went to have an RFP process, right? With the right team, as I said. We defined champions, maintenance champions for each of the operations, and also try to match the vision based on the vendors that we were selecting, and that, let's say, their core was EAM, right, not CMS, MMS. And also, I think important in that RFP process, we defined 5 dimensions that we needed to evaluate. Functional, which was mainly from the maintenance pins. Non-functional, we also wanted to understand, even from the NetSuite perspective, how those non-functional requirements were going to be met. Because for the future, for the company, for example, if we want to be prepared, for example, as a DRP, we have let's say, a disaster recovery plan, right? Is NetSuite in this case, and we asked all the vendors, even if we already know that NetSuite was behind that, but we wanted to have an answer for that. Also important, the implementation strategy, experience, and the costs, of course, right? We needed to understand those costs. So those 5 dimensions were really important for us. Especially looking for a vendor that had a really good implementation partner. And that was something that when we had that shortlist, we realized that not everybody had a really good implementation partner. And because of the size of the project, we're expecting that they have a companionship, such as the one that we had with Bring IT, right? A really good partner with the proper credentials, and not only, let's say in this case, Next Techniques, which is basically the software, right? So that was really important for us during the selection phase. And I guess last but not least, after we finalized the selection process, we defined a clear budget based on a business case. We had to go to show this business case to our executive committee in EnfraGen. And we basically based that business case on reducing support and licensing from the legacy systems, and obviously focused as well on having a single system, and that we could reduce and optimize the licensing costs that we have only having a system such as NetSuite. In terms of the timeline, we focused initially on a single phase with a single operation, and then we are going to conduct a next phase, which is basically with our most complex operation or assets in our fleet. The reason why we did that is because we wanted to initially test the system in an operation that didn't have a system, a maintenance system even, or in this case that they're going to start from scratch using this new system, as opposed to other operations which already have a legacy system. So that was really core for us, because we are going to test, let's say, the implementation process. And actually, while we were implementing, we bring all the team, not only, let's say in this case, the Central America team, but also Chilean team and Colombian team, to discuss design phase, so that we gathered, let's say, the requirements that were not fit into phase 1, and we could push them into phase 2. And also, while we were testing, they realized that there were stuff that they didn't include in those requirements, so we also are going to include them in phase 2. So it was really important to be able to iterate, and that is something that I do, let's say, in many of the projects that I implement in the company. And it showed to be a really good strategy to be able to include requirements that were not met when we started the RFP process.
That's amazing, Juan. Yeah, you hit all my points right on the money, buddy. That's exactly the way that we rolled ours out too. We adopted more of a crawl, walk, run approach, just because I didn't want to overwhelm people with, hey, fill out these 15 forms. So, we kept it pretty simple, and really kind of kept it at the very basic level, and then, like Juan says, we'll start iterating the requirements forward, and really help people move from the crawl stage to the walk to the run. And so I think, having that overall methodology in place and understood up front with people to say, hey, yeah, I get that it's not going to do this and this and this, but it will. Let's just get it, let's get people used to it first and get people solid on the basics. Then we can roll things out that are, really save some major time. So.
Yeah. And just to reinforce what you guys are both saying, where we see customers getting into trouble is when they try and bite off too much at the beginning. They try and cover too many use cases, or they try and, roll it out in such a way that it covers every one of their requirements out of the gate. We find that short time to value is, let's start using it. Let's get something out of it. And then we'll go on this continuous improvement. And I know Bring IT does that as well. And so those are our most successful implementations, are the ones that, as you said, right, crawl, walk, fly. Is that what you said? Or crawl, walk, run?
Yep.
We'll go with fly. Why not fly?
Fly's good too. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes. Which
Pilot
actually
licenses for everybody.
Which makes a segue, actually, David, to the next question. But, I say this all the time, and, I'm very fortunate to talk to customers, like in this case, Juan and Ray. And we say this, right? Technology is really about people as well, right? So how do you use it? How do you socialize it? And then also we see this emotional tie-in, right? Because everybody wants to get the work done and also be able to succeed. And technology is really for that. So to your point, I think Ring IT and NetSuite, from what I've heard with other customers, partner with them to really make them successful. So that's great to hear. The next question, actually, it goes about the future. I know we send the questions, but I really want to maybe simplify it for you. Maybe talk about scalability. How do you see this solution, your partnership with us evolving with you in the future, and how it provides that scalability for the really growth of your business? How do you foresee making that impact, right, on what you want to achieve in the future? So, Ray, I know Juan took the other one, so I'll let you go first.
So, as I said, we're a company that builds more companies together, and we don't plan on stopping at 500 people. Our goal is to have another 500 people at the end of next year. So we're all about scalability. We're all about making sure that we can get the roll up that we need for Midway as a company to know how each of our operating companies are doing. Right now we have 10, and next year we're going to have another 10. And we need to make sure that we know where they're at and how they're performing so that we can jump in and help at any time. And so, real-time collection of data and having a system where we're not supporting it with local servers and that it's in the cloud, they can get it anywhere. That's huge for us. We don't want to deal with the huge disaster recovery issues that come with local servers or software that we own. We want you guys to take care of it. And we want to focus on our business. That's what we do, that's what you do, and that's what we want, and that's how we will scale.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay, from my side, I would say that the more important piece lies on having the single system that I talked about before for our critical processes. in this case, maintenance and finance, especially because we need to be able to replicate a process for our continuous business growth. I relate with what Ray was saying. We also are a company that it's increasing. We started in 2012. Our CEO and founder starting 2012 with no assets, and we have 2.2 gigawatts right now. So it has been a really huge increase, and we are we not only buy, but we also build assets, right? So the most important piece for us is that we need to drive critical capabilities to replicate the recipe for integration and transition process on those new assets, right? So having that clear understanding of the roadmap of our ERP is very important to be able to replicate a standard. And for us, doing that, let's say when we get into a new, we buy new assets and we say, this is our standard, this is our system, this is our process. And it's easy if we have the recipe. We didn't have that before, but let's say when we finish this implementation, we should have it. And it's going to be easy to replicate it in different operations. And also something that I want to mention, and I think I mentioned it before, it's very important to when you select a system such as NetSuite, and in this case, that we got to know that next technique was acquired by Oracle, to give a look on their roadmap, right? On how NetSuite is now thinking how they're going to grow on field service management. It's really important, people that are hearing this, that you have to keep in mind, and any system always defines a roadmap, and it's really important to know and to work with them as a team to understand, for example, how they're going to bring support in. I'm working on that, right? It's going to be really important from us. Also, from the capabilities of the platform, right? How we're going to, let's start working with DRP and narrow a little bit more the cost, because I've been on that discussion with NetSuite and still see it very expensive, right? But also we're working on a business case, because now that we have a single system, it's going to become critical to have DRP. And now the business case is going to be easy to sell, because I'm going to tell the company, guys, I have everything within a single system, but all the core processes, if this system is not working, we're dead, basically. So we can also focus on that as well, right?
Thanks,
Thank
team.
you, Juan.
David, anything you want to add there? Sorry, Aldo, didn't mean to
No.
talk over you.
Please go.
I think they covered it very well. I would just say that our scalability is tied to NetSuite's scalability, and we use NetSuite internally and for our 37,000 plus customers, and I use it every day, and I don't see a problem with the scalability of our system. So we have sold a number of systems where the number of field users is in the 12, 15, 1,700 user base, and so we're working on that direction, and I'm excited to see. I haven't seen the limit yet, so I'm excited to start to approach the bigger and bigger deals. So
Awesome. Thanks, guys. So last planned question, like Sophia mentioned to our audience members, if you have any questions specifically for Ray, Juan, or David, please put those in the chat, and we'll get to those after this last panel question. But stepping back a little bit, we've talked about a ton of things on this call already. Your requirements, your selection process, implementation, best practices, learning, change management, adoption. Is there anything that we haven't talked about yet that you'd like to share with our audience? In particular, any success stories you've heard from other organizations with their field service management solution adoption, or knowing what you know now, anything that the two of you would have done differently in your selection or implementation process?
Boy, that's a big question, isn't it? So,
if you could do it all over again.
yeah. So I think there's several things we did well, and that was when we got down to the final four, we went out and visited customers that were using the system, and so we traveled out. We had a team of 3. We had me from IT. We had an accountant with us. We had 4. We had a field service tech that we took with us, and we had a CEO that we took with us. And so the 4 of us would go out to these companies and spend, half a day with them and ask the questions. ask the tough questions. And these customers were great about, allowing us in and walking through these things because they were excited about their systems. The ones with Next Service, those we had to do over the phone because of the time of the year it was. They were both very busy companies and just didn't have time to entertain us. But both companies that we spoke with, three different companies running Next Service, and all three of them were just head over heels happy with the flexibility, the functionality, and the roll up of their data into a system where they never had to worry about it. So we definitely did our due diligence on these. So I would encourage people to, make sure you get the references and talk to customers that are using it. And then from my experience on this, as I said, I would have brought the techs in, the field service guys in. I think I would have had so we were doing three really. So we were putting our first operating company on NetSuite. We already had the holding company on there, but everybody knows an operating company is extremely different. So we were doing the implementation of NetSuite at an operating company. We were also doing Next Service, and we were adding a project system all at the same time. I think if I had it to go back, I'd do the ERP and either field service or the project system. But I'm a glutton for punishment, so we did the three. I think that I would have had them work more closely to when they were working in the sandbox to also work in production, to get the production system solid at the same time. I think I would have done that earlier. We waited until the last minute to push it to production, and we had a lot of issues moving it to production and getting everything right. And, partly because, NetSuite has their way of doing things and Next Technic had their way, and there's, a little bit of some growing pains there, moving it from production to live. But I think I would have had them work more in both systems, and especially on permissions, user permissions and user roles. So, Juan, to you.
Thank you, Ray. Really interesting, especially the experience piece. I would add to that also that for us it was really important, not only experience but experience in Latin America. So we decided that the vendor that was going to be with us had to have that experience, and also the language, because in the end that it's a huge barrier. And with that, I'm going to talk. I try to narrate on 3 points. I actually added a new one after hearing Ray. I think one of the most important pieces is, if you don't have the right team, it's better to make the hard decisions from the start. That happened to us, and it happened with the working team, the team that was implementing, where if you see that you foresee that there's possible issues, maybe poor management or lack of expertise, it's better to make the decision, even if it's from the vendor side or our side. The earlier you do it, the better. And that happened to us. We had to make a hard decision. We made it with the vendor, and in this case, Ring IT, right? And it proved to be the right decision. If we didn't make that decision, I don't know if we were able to go live in the dates that we were committed. Actually, we were able to go live even before the committed date, basically because we worked with the PM, with the functional and the technical team to be able to get the requirements, the site strategies. But we were a team, right? We started with emails. We broke that wall and said, guys, no emails. We need to sit down and define, and we need to work with the teams. We need to bring the teams in a single place. Please fly here, wherever you are, fly to Central America, Panama and let's work as a team. So that was a really important point for us. The second one, and I think we already mentioned it during all the questions that we had, is it's very important to manage change. If I mean, you have to be able to embrace changes, but budget, of course, is not always going to be a restriction, right? Like you don't have, let's say, unlimited resources, right? But you have to be able to hear the people, understand their needs, and translate that into requirements in the right moment. Like that was, of course, a hard fight with the implementation team, right? But we did an RFP process, and even with that RFP process, we looked where we're really implementing that most of the stuff that they were asking needed customization, and they came back to me and say, "Hey Juan, we asked for this," and they said that they have it, and I said like, "Yes, but it needs to be customized." And that's something that happens in the NetSuite world. If you compare it to SAP or other ERPs, where NetSuite is a lot more flexible compared to other systems, right? But of course, that comes with a trade-off, which is you're super flexible, but then you're allowed to do a lot of stuff, and then managing it, it's going to be really hard. So I think that is really important to take into account. Also, I mentioned this in the previous questions, and I call it like this: face it, don't risk it. We decided that it was better to divide and conquer, right? Not try to do a single implementation with all the people and then like cascade mode, right? And you wait till the end to know if everything that you defined was okay. I think that's the worst strategy that you can take in. I think it's better to iterate, maybe not like using kind of agile methodologies as a Scrum. In this case, as this type of implementation, I think doesn't adapt, but you can take some of the stuff from agile and apply it to normal project management. And I think that really worked for us. And last but not least, I think this is something that we encountered while we were going live. We did all of our exercise in the sandbox with let's say in this case, the bundle that we need to install within the sandbox. When we did the same processing in the production environment, we realized that there was a change made by NetSuite, and that what we had defined in sandbox was not the same in production because of the acquisition. We had to work that and sort that out with Net's technique. Unfortunately, we had a really good support and we were able to solve it. But if you're right now in the process of going live and you were working in a sandbox with the previous bundle, that's going to happen to you guys. So I just wanted to leave that in this discussion because it happened to us, and it was a really important issue, but we were able to solve it.
Thanks, Juan. Thanks, Ray. David, anything from you? Talking all of the customers that are looking at our solution. Go ahead,
yeah,
sorry.
for anyone out there considering it, as you've heard, our system is a broadly horizontal system. It's like NetSuite, like Juan said, it can do a lot of things, and that comes with good and bad. And so I highly recommend that you work with a partner like Bring IT to figure out what your requirements are, to configure it properly, and to get it started so it'll scale properly for you.
Thank you. And on behalf of Bring IT and from NetSuite as well, Haley and David, we really want to thank Juan and Ray for their time, because this was very insightful conversation. I think our audience really enjoyed it. We will be looking forward to publishing it and then have more of these conversations. I think maybe we'll turn it into a podcast. but to hear your insights. But I don't see any questions from our audience, and I think we're on top of the hour, so we also want to be respectful of everybody's time. But we'll leave it open. We will publish this recording for your insight, and then as well be there to answer all of your questions. As Haley said, you can contact us, through our website, through our social media, from Bring IT, and then from NetSuite. But with that, I want to thank everyone, and as well Juan and Ray and David again for making time for this very insightful conversation.
Happy to help. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, team.
Thank you for having me.
This was fun.
Everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.